what the spiritual body experiences during the dream, the sleep state,
Yeah.
is affecting the physical body as well.
Of course.
Because I have my story is I have difficulties wanting to sleep. I've been fighting all my life for that because I don't want to.
Yep.
And then when I wake up, I have tensions in different,
Yep.
And then I don't get it. If the sleep is supposed to make me feel more, getting back energy and.
Yep. The purpose of the sleep state is to revitalise the physical body. That's the purpose of going to sleep. However, what often happens to people is they go into the spirit world in their spirit body and they have experiences that they're quite frightened of, right? And so they don't want to even go to sleep. And in fact, it's the major cause of insomnia. The major cause of insomnia is not wanting to go to sleep because of what happens in your sleep state, right? And then when you come back to your body, you have all of the aches and pains in your body that are a reflection of your fears in your sleep state. Does that make sense? So the two states of this is, if we knew more about this and what was really going on the planet, we'd solve a lot of physical problems and also a lot of spiritual problems.
That I can use this information you're giving me now as something that gives me even more will to actually deal with what's inside of me.
Yes.
Because otherwise it's not really making me feel like I would like to sleep.
Exactly. All right, so, okay. So
it makes it even more real for me that I really have, that's the right thing for me to do.
Well, let me first state something. The truth, knowing the truth is always better than not knowing the truth. So this is something we need to bear in mind. Knowing the truth is always better. If knowing the truth makes us afraid, right, then we need to see why we're afraid. We need to understand what's the cause of the fear. So, me stating that sometimes we have quite bad experiences in our sleep state can make some of us afraid. Well, if we weren't having bad experiences in our sleep state, do you think we would be afraid? We wouldn't be, probably, would we? So even the statement itself is an indication. If it triggers fear, then there's an indication there that maybe that's happening for me. So what I need to do then is address why I'm afraid of going to sleep. So we need to ask the question why all the time. So just hang on a sec, Carola, I'll get to. Why am I afraid? Now, if I just sit there, if I come back to my body in the mornings, and the trouble with the mornings is that many of us have an alarm clock, don't we? Right? So if we have to go to work or something like that, the alarm wakes us up and bang, we're back in our body. But now we're immediately in action. We've got to start doing things. We've got to get ourselves washed and whatever else. And so what we often do is we don't feel what we feel the moment we came back into our body. What I find is if you just lay there, even if it's only for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and just feel what your body feels coming back. Many of you would notice that you feel quite afraid or you feel other emotions, sometimes shame or other emotions. Sometimes our dreams trigger shame. And so we have shame when we come back and so forth. If you lay there and allow yourself to feel it, you will more easily remember what caused the emotion from your sleep state than you will if you just get up and act straight away. Right? The key is to be open to that. So also the key is don't put up with long-term problems in your life when the question why needs to be asked. So, for example, if you have long-term insomnia, the question we need to ask is why? Other people don't have it, or not everybody has it, so there must be something going on for me that causes me to have it. Don't just accept that, oh, that's you, and that's a part of your lot in life, or that's the way it's always going to be, because it doesn't have to be. We ask why. So the question I would ask for yourself then is, why am I having a fear about going to sleep? So why am I afraid of sleep? Now, if you think about it logically, the only answer can be that something's happening when you're asleep that you don't like very much. That is really the only logical explanation if you think about it. And so if you allow yourself to ask now, so ask God, like, what is this thing that I'm afraid of? Then what will happen during your day-to-day interactions and also your dreams, you'll get pictures of what you're afraid of. And that will tell you what the fear is that prevents you from going to sleep. Now, remember, all fear is just false expectations appearing real. Right? So we need to feel our fear, but we need to stop acting upon it. So the way to actually deal with fear is to feel it. Most of us don't do that with our fear. What we do instead is we completely avoid our fears. We'll do anything to avoid our fears. So many of you wake up in the morning feeling a bit jittery and a bit afraid, and what's the first thing you generally do? Coffee. Right? You go for a drink that'll make you feel less afraid, more connected with yourself, and it helps you step away from the feeling. Does that make sense? We do this straight away generally. Or many of us might wake up and the first thing we do, and we have to do this every morning, we have to have a shower. Because when we're in the shower, we can just sit there and let all the water wash over us, and it relaxes us, and we feel much better. Right? All of us have a different, what I would call almost remote control thing we do in the morning to avoid our sleep state experiences. Yeah? If we allowed ourselves to connect with our sleep state experience by asking ourselves the questions, we would very rapidly resolve most of our emotional problems and our issues that cause us distress on the earth. So if one of those issues is I can't sleep, we would very rapidly resolve it by just finding out what am I afraid of when I'm asleep. And once we could answer that question, you could see you could deal with that fear, and then you won't be afraid of it. And so then you could go to sleep quite easily and you wouldn't be afraid. Yeah? Carola, you had a question? We're just trying to get the sound of the audience so that...
I don't sleep in when most of the people is sleeping. And I don't feel that it's that I'm afraid. Maybe I'm lying, but it's,
well, you're not
I have a
afraid of
tickling
sleep.
feeling after 12.
So when do you go to sleep?
2, 3.
2 or 3 in the morning?
Yep.
And when do you wake up?
It's different. 10.
10.
It could be 7. It could be. It's no order in me.
Okay. Okay.
And it's a tickling feeling, and I'm like that instead. So it's
when you wake up?
No, before I go to sleep, like I'm waiting to. When I go to bed, it's like
excited.
Yes. So it's. I don't feel that I'm afraid, but I'm not.
I agree. You're not afraid of sleep. You're afraid of who you're going to meet before 2 o'clock.
Okay.
You understand?
Nah. No.
If you go to sleep... If you go to sleep before 2 a.m. in the morning, you will meet different set of people than if you go to sleep after 2 o'clock.
So I wait for them that's in 3 o'clock.
Yes.
They are more friendly.
Yes.
Wow. Du meja.
And you can feel that's why you're excited.
Yes.
You actually have a feeling that it's pointless going to sleep until you can see them every night.
So I do the easy way. So I do the easy way. I take the safe. So that's why I'm so excited. Okay.
Well, there's only one of two things that can happen. One is that you're afraid of who you will meet before 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Or you're really keen on meeting the person that you're going to meet after 2 a.m.
Because it's really nice
and
to
if
sleep.
it's excited, it's most likely the latter. You understand?
Yes.
So you are probably meeting up with somebody at that time, and it might be somebody from a different country who goes to sleep at a different time. Do you understand?
Of course.
It's having a lot of Does that make sense?
Yes.
So let's say it's somebody who's in a different time zone to yourself, right? And they might be going to sleep at their time at 10 o'clock at night, but for you it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, you can see this is happening, yes? Yes. It's interesting when you state the truth, generally the person always responds emotionally to that truth. So Corolla's having a bit of a cry now, so this is somebody who you're meeting up. So Corolla's meeting somebody after 2 o'clock in the morning, and she doesn't see any point in going to sleep before then. Does that make sense?
Good answer.
Far away.
I fall asleep very late, but I stay asleep a very long time, up to 14 hours.
So you fall asleep at a similar time to Monday?
Yeah, around 2, 3.
But you stay asleep till midday?
Yeah.
Yep. So highly likely a similar thing is occurring for yourself, yeah. And usually these kind of things run in families because there are also similar emotions driving the action as well. And there often is attachments in the sleep state to other countries or to other lives. And actually you can also overcloak a person in their awake state while you're asleep. So you can actually interfere with somebody else's life who's alive on Earth at a different time zone than you are when you go to sleep. And many do that. Many people do that. And some even have a memory of doing that where they feel like they wake up in a different person's body and have a different life, and then they go to sleep and then wake up in their other life, their real life, and all they're doing on the second time is really overcloaking another person who's on Earth. It's not a very good thing to do to the other person, but obviously the other person's allowing it, and that often is what happens too. Yeah?